All right, so we are in the back nine of the Korean Classic tournament. So on the front, I like totally shit. I dropped the ball, man. One of the holes I got one of the par fives I got a birdie on, and I think maybe two of the par fives. Is it two of the par fives? And then I didn't pick up eight, and I had all kinds of shit go wrong on this round. And I started off good, just playing it normal. I missed the first two, and I got great opportunities to catch those first two, and then it just went downhill. Don't know where I went wrong. A 13 is not going to get it done. Shit, I don't even know if I shot two 13s. That's 26. I was the only person that got in with a 14 and to qualify for it. So you got to shoot a 15 or better to get into the top 50. And shit, I suppose that 30 with no albies, you might not make it. You're gonna have something. So it's pretty tight. So I'm gonna have to shoot like a 16, 17 on the back in order to get myself even close. So I need to shoot a 17 in order to get to 30. So I have good notes, and I tightened them up just a little bit after the front. So we'll see how it goes on the back. So hole number one. I'm bringing out a Thor's hammer. Which way's the wind blowing? The wind works, and I'm bringing out a power 3 ball, 3 side spin. I'm doing plus 10 on the drive, and if I'm using my Thor's hammer, a 3 power ball, it's 1.7 per ring. So times the wind divided by 1.7. It's 1.7 minus 1. No, that won't matter. I'm not trying to get it to the cup. I'm just trying to lay it up right off the edge. Do my short little chip. Do my 1/3 club chip. Actually, where I'm getting my ball guide, I'm actually at like quarter club. If I can get an opponent. And I'll wait. I know I bitch all the time and stuff, but like, hey, you gotta play with that. You gotta play with another person. We do not want this game to just be you're playing by yourself. Because it'll start with practice, and then it'll be like, well, you just play by yourself. .5. Six top spin. There's 3. There's 6. It's 1.61 rings. 1.61. Hitting it perfect. I could try and eke it up there a little bit closer, but what happens is I take a great to the left out. So then you got to hit it perfect or great to the right. And so I'm leaving it a little short, but as far as arc goes, they're only like a foot or so in front of me. It doesn't make that big of a difference on the arc to the cup. They're a little bit closer, but not much. They're a lot closer out on the field. Like on the field, they're like 5, the way the game measures distance, it's probably like 5 yards ahead of me. But as far as like the angle from to the cup, it's probably only about 2. No fuss, no muss. Now all we need to do is we still got work to get done. They got the flat. They're in the rough. They hit the flat. They hit one of their bounces, one of like the first 3 bounces on a hillside, on the downhill side, and it slid. It was bad. Saw one of my opponents earlier hit in the perfect fucking spot, and then they tanked their second shot bad, and ended up off the green in the rough. And they were in short iron range. They tanked their shot so bad. It's like, what the hell? I wasn't paying attention to their shot, and I looked up and it went into the rough, and it's like, how the hell can you miss that shot? You could have tried to dunk it and gotten closer and not ended up in the rough. Release and roll out. All right, hole number 1's in the bag. Hole number 2, we need to get the hole in 1 here. So I got mid club. I'm playing a Kingfisher and a Navigator. Kingfisher and a Navigator. Just cutting the wind down a little. Kingfisher and a Nav. And I'm playing at mid club at 16 plus 20% no spin. 1.2 times whatever the wind is divided by 1.6. No spin. Well, I'm going to do a little bit of backspin, like maybe a half a bar. Do the wind first. On the next par 3, I actually got the closest I've gotten all week, and I did a no move. I did put spin on it, but I didn't move it. I left it where it's at, and I came up on the, instead of coming straight out it where it splits like the Red Sea, you can go left or right depending on if you're just a micron off. It was coming at it from the left-hand side going up the hill. My opponent goes first. .9, it's about 2 per ring, so, and they're at minimum club, so I don't know what minimum thorn is. They did 2 exactly. They did a little less than 2. Isn't it great? Let's see if I can get a lot closer, like in the hole closer. Wind first. 3.6. I'm going to move it 2.7 rings. And there are fucking ball guides in my way. 2.7 rings, exactly. Okay, there's 2. There's 2.5, 2.7. Hitting it perfect. Whoa down, Cat Daddy. It hit that hill just a little bit too fast and stayed on track and broke to the right. Also with a plus 20 at mid. Might be a minimum there. That would be even less of a pull. I made that earlier. I was playing I made it yesterday in my odd account. Alright, back to the drawing board. All clear. Alright, this is the hole right here that my opponent totally tanked up on earlier. Make sure I'm dealing with the right one. See which way the wind's blowing. I need to bring out a power 5 ball. I don't need a topspin boost ball, but I want one that's got more than one. I need one that has more than 1 side spin, so I'm going to bring out one of these 0 wind but 5 side spin, and that that really, really helps. And I'm going to play it with my number 1 bag, but with a Goliath. And I'm going to do the Goliath rough bump. Now I did notice earlier when I hit this that I didn't do any overpower, and I did pull it extra on the whole, on the 5 power. I do need to get a little bit farther out there, and I can put wind back in it, or I can do just a titch of overpower. The wind looks like it's blowing headwind, but I think when we're out on the course it's blowing almost pure side wind. Maybe it's blowing head, maybe. I'd like to see them come out with a freaking course layout, and weather reports are a big deal. Like, hey, the weather report calls for it might be a stormy day tomorrow, and if it's stormy, the winds are going to be a little bit higher, or the wind direction is going to change, and it's going to blow from the northwest. And we know what the grid layout is, so we know on hole number 2, based off the grid layout, if the wind's blowing from the northwest, which way the wind's going to be blowing on that hole, so we can go through and check all the holes that are blowing headwind, and which ones are blowing tailwind, and which ones are blowing sidewind, and we can think about our shots before we get there, if we're going to change up our shot because the wind's bad today on that hole. Instead of this one hole at a time where they can pick the wind. Like, how are these holes laid out? They just pick some random ass wind. And they will be able to get their second bounce, will bounce completely clear, and they'll hit the fairway and run up into short iron range. And do I have the right short iron here? Let me check this bag. I do have a Hornet, and I could do the same shot my opponent's trying to do, or attempting to clear. .5 divided by 2.1, 2.16 rings. 2.16, that puts me a ring into power. And I did not end up where my opponent ended up. I ended up in the rough on like the 3rd bounce. That's good because I brought the stuff for this shot, and I brought the stuff for the other shot, as long as I end up in the fairway and not with my rough iron. I'm not sure if my rough iron has enough topspin to get me out if I'm up early like that. If I'm down, far down where they're at, it does. Because you're going straight here at the hole. I think it does. It might. Okay, I'm doing a straight up shot with a Goliath at mid. It's 2.2 per ring. So whatever the wind is divided by 2.2. Sniper. 0 to the cup. So the wind is 4.0 divided by 2.2, 1.8 rings. .81 rings. .181. Oh, fuck. Anticipation. Anticipation. And unfortunately, it didn't make me wait. Arrgh. That's in the hole, or close damn to it. Obviously closer. In the hole. All right. I'm kind of excited to see if I can get as close on this shot. So I'm going to do 1.15 times the wind divided by 1 plus 0.1. I'm taking a sniper and a quasar. I need the 2 side spin. All right. Sniper and a quasar. No move, just adjust the ball to fit the hole. Aim right at it. 15% times the wind divided by 1 per ring plus 0.1. Plug in the wind, do the spin. Adjust for the wind, hit perfect. Go woohoo! Let's have that happen. Need to pick some shots up. I need to pick up a couple that I haven't, like I need to pick up some of these other ones. I can't just go out there and try and get the ones that we need to get. And we're getting into a stretch here of ones that we need to get. We need to get number 5. We have to get number 6. We need to get number 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so 4.8, 5.62 rings. .62 rings. Here's 5, 6, 2 exactly. And then I hit it great on the other side. Hit it great to the right and a great to the left. Somewhere in between there's a perfect. And the perfect got me really close last time. I was like smoking the cup. That's why I added on the plus 0.1. It seems like it rolls up truer up that hole than if you try and get, doing a no move and just adjusting it out. What was that? Almost 3.5 backspin, 3 and a little more. I probably had closer to 3 because they did 4-2. Didn't pull it enough, and I pulled it 15% and added on the 0.1, so perfecto in the hole. All right, I'm actually kind of excited to play that hole. This is where shootouts were fun because you could practice during the shootouts if you were still working on one of the par 3s. And encouraged you to play to get a chest. They took away some of the rewards. We don't get chests like that unless we actually just beat them on the course. There's no more shootout. Like somebody should walk away with a chest. It's a draw. Somebody should have walked away with a chest. Think about how many chests you lose during tournament week because there's no shootouts. Even if you didn't play them and you forfeit them, somebody was winning a chest. Hole number 14. Hole number 5. All right, this is the big asshole. We got to get that. We have to. There's not an option. 1.3 times the wind divided by 2.1. Hole number 5. 30% extra mile power 5 ball. Okay, I got my wind equation worked out. Now I just need to pick the ball. I need a topspin boost ball, and I bought several of these topspin boost balls just for this. And the 2 side spin will help. Pick that ball. On sale this week. We'll pick one. Taking my extra mile. I ended up on the rough in the front. I just got an eagle. I didn't get the albie. I dropped one on this hole. I was looking at it earlier and I was trying to figure out where I dropped one. I forgot you've got to get an albie on this hole. And so I dropped it. I ended up in the rough on the right hand side and didn't make the chip in shot. Almost made the chip in shot. I hit it 2 rings great to the left, but it breaks to the right, and it breaks to the left, so it almost went in, but not quite. 2.5 topspin plus 2.5 topspin. I think it gets me right there. I'm gonna make a note on that. 2.5 in tailwind, 3 in headwind. That was a good solid 2 rings great to the left. That's actually going to help them. They're going to be all right. As long as they don't catch the green down here. I've made it where I caught that hill and then it rolled down and just got onto the green, and you can't make that putt from there. You can't even get to it. Not only is it overpowered, you just can't reach it at all. You're better off on the rough down there. And that's actually the rough area to be. You got a great shot from down there. 2.5. 2.5. I'm going to ride that ridge. You catch that ridge on the right hand side and you'll roll down to the rough. That's what I did last time. 3.5, 2.16 rings. 2.2. I'm going to lean just a little. Hitting it perfect. So if it does catch down here, it might just ride the ridge, because I'm trying to press my limit and get what I need, just a little bit more power. If it catches the green, it'll roll right down to it. I still got some work to do. His pitch, even though it's a little longer, is actually easier because it's up the hill and it's pretty flat. Mine's got a lot of break to it. So it's not just wind you're having to deal with, it's course. As it's rolling down to the hole, it's breaking to the left. So his is pretty straight up. I still got work to do, is what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Because if I run all my topspin out, it's going to get all jiggy, I'm sure. No, it's not too bad. It's a lot better than I thought it would be. I want to stay inside the cup, but I want to be on the right hand side of the cup. So if it breaks to the left, I'm starting off a little, and it went right where I aimed it. Excellent. I see people up close like that all the time, and they pull it off the cup, especially when you got newer clubs and you're thinking it's gonna make some adjustment for it. You want to stay inside the cup when you're that close. That way, if I'd have hit it great to the right there, I'd have missed. But I could have had a good solid 2 rings, maybe 3 to the left, and it might have still gone in. All right, hole number 15. We got past that. At least we got that. That's part of the minimum score. We have to get the Alvy there. All right, we got to get an eagle here. And which way is the wind blowing? Blowing forward. So I'm taking my Thor's hammer because it has better ball guide. Thor's hammer, and I'm taking a power 3 ball. If it was headwind, I'd have to bring out a bigger power ball in order to get to the spot, but I still think I have to play this with a power 5 ball. I'm going to play with a Berserker. Alright, hole number, Thor's hammer. I'm doing a 40% adjustment on the drive, times the wind, divided by 1.6 minus 0.1. And I'm going to try and get a run at it. We'll see if I can get a run. See if I can get it somewhere around. I need 3 tops. No, that's the. I have the numbers here written down for a APOC. But what I need to do is write down numbers for a Thor's hammer. As far as spin, because with an APOC I was using 1 1/4 backspin, 1 left-hand side spin, and it was shooting a little past it, so maybe 1 1/2 backspin. But with the Thor's hammer, you're in a slightly different spot. I think you're right up against the red line off to the right with a 3-power ball. With a 4-power ball, you can get right in front of where my opponent's at right now, just barely into the green, maybe like half a ring. They left the wind on. That's a pretty big wind. Look how close they're going to hit to the sand here. And it didn't show it. They actually did have a little bit of distance. Nice. Nice. Let's do the wind first. 77. 4.4. 3.75 rings. So a 3-power ball, I can get up into this zone. And a bigger side spin ball definitely helps. I'm going to have to bring out a different ball that's got more side spin. I'm going to do a 2 solid backspin. 3.75. There's 3.75. I want to try and do this without using any curl. So if I bring a bigger side spin ball, I can get a run right at it and not have to use any curl, because curl is a big ass variable and it's hard to replicate. And the 2 backspin was just a little too much with that wind. So like maybe 1 3/4. I'll write on my notes 1 3/4 backspin. Side spin. It's got to be, need a 3 plus 5 power. So I need a ball that's got more than 1 or 2 side spin. The 5 power 0 wind balls are the, I have some 5 power 5 side spin 0 wind. I don't have a lot of them left, but I do have a few. All right. We got the eagle. That's what we went there to get. We were trying for hole-in-one, but our goal was eagle. All right, we got a definite shot here. So I got a Goliath and a Katana ball guide just past the cup. Plus 15 plus 0.2. So 1.15 times the wind divided by 2.2 plus 0.2. I'm bringing a Goliath and a Katana. One of these bags has a Goliath, and I'm bringing a Katana. Let's see if we can just hit one perfect and actually make it into the fucking cup. Flipping cup, excuse me. Here we go. See if I go first. My opponent goes first. I like shooting with a Grizzly, but I don't like shooting with a Grizzly doing max backspin. Let's see what they move it. They moved it 2 rings. They left it in front. Hit it perfect. And ended up behind. And they came in behind about as far away as they were in front. 2.2, 1.35 rings. I'm going to do 1.4. I think it's 7 topspin. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Seven and 1. .35 rings. Let's get lined up a little better. There's 1, 2, 5. There's 3, 5. Getting it perfect. Over pulled it slightly. Hurt. Missed it by a little less than that on the other side. That's why I added on the 0.2. When I changed the percentage to 20%, it didn't be 1.4. It didn't really change it that much, so I added on 0.1. I was doing just a 0.1, but when I added on 20%, it only added on a half. Went from 1.35 to 1.4, so I added on a whole one and rounded up. All right, hole number, are we on hole number 17? We can get this hole. I'm playing this hole specifically for all of you out there that are like, man, we got to use a special ball on every hole. You do not have to use a special ball on this hole, and you can get an eagle every time. You just have to hit perfect on the last shot that you take. Am I out of katanas? Where are katanas? There we are. Selected. It is selected, and I'm taking my extra mile. And I want to take my extra mile number 1 back because it's got a kingfisher in it. Let's switch that up for a kingfisher. Now I'm actually taking it with my wedge, so that won't matter. That won't matter. It's 1.25. I'm doing a 25% adjustment on the drive, times the wind, divided by 2.1. I'm going to be exact on this. Plus 10 plus 0.1. And I've smoked the cup the last 3 times that I've shot this, and I've missed it once, and I had my speed absolutely right the other 2 times, and it drifted into the hole right at the very end. But the last time I was going just a titch too fast, and it smoked the hole and didn't fall. But if I add it on plus 0.1, then I will be right at the flagpole. Now once again, I'm seeing an opponent that's trying to bridge the gap and get 5 yards, 6 yards closer than me, or trying to get up there into the gap. If you get in the gap, you're definitely in a great spot, but most people that I've seen make it are only about 5 or 6 yards in front of me. But most of the people I've seen take this shot end up in the sand. Now my opponent is trying to lean to the right and try and bridge the gap and get away from it, but they're leaving the wind in, and I've seen people and a bunch of people in that sand, and that sand sucks because you don't have a shot at the green. Okay, max top spin. However much side spin I can get on. I'm back to this area, and I want to watch my ball guide so that it starts splitting off to the left-hand side, wherever that puts me. 4.2. 2.5 rings. There's 2.5. Max curl. Hit it perfect. It'll do the bounce, it'll hit the rough, it'll bleed out, and it'll put me right out there in front. Every time. about 5 or 6 yards away from where they're trying to get, and people are ending up in the sand. And you can do that shot with a katana. You don't need a special ball. It doesn't matter which way the wind's blowing. You have plenty of room around your red line in order to get it there, and you can end up in that same spot over and over and over again. Times the wind divided by 2.4 plus 0.1. And I'm going to round up. Alright, so we're going to end up in the hole right here. Don't want any chat, don't want any chatter. Plug the wind in first. 4.1. 1.97 rings, so 2 rings exactly. Aiming right at the flagpole. 2 rings. Exactly. Hit it perfect. Get in the hole. Get in the hole. Dead center perfect. Look at that. No fuss, no muss. 10% plus 0.1. In some wind angles, just 10%. You can make that hole easy with just a katana. It's a blind curl shot, so like you'll have to go out there with your clubs if you got lower developed clubs and it doesn't have as much curl as that. How much curl does that have? Extra Mile's got 50 curl, so if you got an Extra Mile that has less than 50 curl, instead of aiming like here's the tree, and I don't know what the distance is back here, but you'll get to a spot where you have to pull it back to a spot where it finally hits the tree and the ball guide's bouncing off. I started the week off with it bouncing off to the right, and if I caught a great to the right, I hit out here too fat in the rough, and then it didn't bleed out. So I moved it over so that the ball guide was just barely going off on the left-hand side, and then I can hit a great. I don't know about the great to the right, but I can hit a 1-ring great to the left, a perfect, and it'll bleed out in that same spot. So if you got a club that has less curl, you may have to be pointing towards the absolute edge of the tree because to get the and do a blind curl shot, and it'll set your distance down here the same. Max topspin, however much topspin you got, so you can bleed out. The more the merrier. That might actually be a great hole to hit it with a big topper, and you'll have to put a tick mark or something on your, if you use a grid, so that you can know how much curl to put on it. You don't have to hit it very far. You're pulling back from the red line, so you could probably use a different club. Big topper would work. All right, there we have it. Hole number 9. We're on hole number 9? We are, and I haven't been ending up in the spot that I want to end up in. Let's look at balls again. Let's look at power. We're rated by power, so I need a 5 power ball. I'm gonna go for the shot forward and see what would it take to get in front of the sand. Because what's happening to me on hole number 9 is I'm actually trying to lay it up. And the worst thing that can happen to you is when you're trying to lay something up and you end up in the shit and on a freaking layup shot. I'm not trying to get way up here. I'm just trying to get like right here, because it gives me as far as on the tee rough bump, I'm trying to do a rough bump up here, and it puts me closer. If you're out and if you think about the angles, the rough bump really gets good like in this area right here where you can bleed it up because it's fairly flat. It comes around the bend, it's really steep over here, and then it comes around the bend and it flattens out and it comes through the corner and then it goes back on the weave over here. And so there's an area in here, but the prime area for us doing the rough bump is up here in the front. So if you're in this area, you got a pretty straight view at it. You're making it as much of a T rough bump as possible. Whereas if you're up here, you're hitting it more on the eye. So if you hit a great to the right, you're on the freaking, and you're in the shit. And if you hit a great to the left, I can tell you right now, if you hit a great to the left, too far great to the left, you'll hit the rocks and it'll bounce like a normal bounce instead of a rough bump, and it'll go for a wild ride. That's what happened to me on the front. So this gives me a better angle, but I keep ending up it. But there is a huge ridge right here, and it rolls off really, really hard to the right and really hard to the left. And so you can easily find yourself washing out into a rough area. Even though you're where it originally landed, you were in the clear, but it tailed off and it rolled off the course. But if you're trying to hit it far forward, it starts to flatten out again and you get away from this. And so if you're trying to get the most out of your shot, where you're either trying to get over here or you're trying to get way up front, you may get bounce number 1, bounce number 2, and then bounce number 3, you're over this shit. So I'm going to try to see what happens if I try and go far forward. And I may end up in the shit, but I'll just take the shot from there. But I want to see, like, what's the deal, because I don't like this landing area. I would love the second shot, but I don't like that landing area. Here we go. Here we go. So what do I got for ball inventory here? I want to bring out a Power 5 ball no matter what, but one that's got topspin boost might work out well. I don't think I need a lot of spin if I'm going to go straight forward, so I'm going to try an Albie ball. I got one for a 5-pack. I can do a practice hole. I'm doing plus 30 on the drive, times whatever the wind is. Zach goes first. I may have to use some overpower in order to get my bounces to the right spot. You want a bounce to be right in front of that last sand trap down there, so you can try and maximize your bounce equation. Yeah, hitting on the rocks down there is brutal. I will tell you, no, you'll like that spot there. You can bounce off the island. You can do a straight up rough bump on the hill face there. It's pretty dangerous in my opinion, but you can do it. So if I stretch my topspin out, put just a little teeny bit of overpower on it, I could end up way in the hell up there. I may end up in the next sand. Probably will. 3.4, 2.1 rings. 2.1. A little bit of overpower. Hitting it perfect. El Perfecto. Bounce number 1. Bounced over the area I wanted to. Bounced over the sand. And then rolled out. But I'll tell you, that's a risky ass shot. You're going to get caught up in that sand more often than not, but that is definitely a spot. And from where I've been hitting, I was doing at 20%, but I'm not sure that that's right, because I haven't. It's every time I'm in a little different spot, so I'm not sure that the 20% is right. But I'm going to do the 20% here. Times the wind. Divided by, that's got to be mid-wedge. 1.2 times the wind. I might be able to run my topspin out from where I'm at. Let's see where I'm at. There's max club. There's mid. Can I run my topspin out? I'm in like mid club, so 2.8 divided by 1, 2.4, 1.4 rings. That's dangerous. 1.4 rings. There's 1, 4. Hitting it perfect. In and out of the hole. That was kind of a cheater right there. I got robbed on that. That was an Albie. That was an Albie right there. And I don't know that I would have done anything different on that. I did a 20% at mid-club. And the 0.1 would have put me on the other side of the cup. So, I mean, I don't know that I would have did anything different. 1.4, man, that's tight. That was a rob. I got robbed. Eagle. All right. I don't even know if I shot good enough. Did I pick up anything? I don't think I picked up anything. So 29. I don't know if that'll get me in the weekend round. I think you might have to have a 30. That's going to put me. That's going to put me in the may not qualify bracket. And I'm at the bottom of the 30s or the 29s. So I'm in the last bracket there. So that's not conducive to making it to the. There's a 20. There's a better than a 29 right there. 25 people haven't qualified yet, so I'm at risk. There's 36. I got 14 spots and 25 people yet to qualify, so there is a risk that I won't make it in with a 29. I barely made it. I was the only person that made it in with a 14 in the qualifying round. Everybody else had a 15 or better. So 14s were tight, and shooting a 14-15, I might get in with that, but it's going to be we'll have to wait and see whether I make it. Thanks for watching. That was I actually, even though that wasn't like I didn't get the score I was looking for, I have a lot of stuff. I've been writing in my notes. I started off with black, and then I wrote in the qualifying round in green, and then I wrote in red for my practice account. And I went out there and ran a bunch of the stuff on my practice account, and some of the holes I just didn't execute. It was all me on the back, but the numbers that I have are pretty tight. So if I actually shoot around where I personally don't make any mistakes, I think my numbers are going to get me close. Like there's a few holes that I might just miss, but like I could pick up some of those other holes and really pop out a great round. I did prop out a 17 yesterday in my practice account on the back, so you know, if you could double that up, you're at 34, and now you're in the hunt. You still may not win, but you're in the hunt. So I like my odds. Thanks for watching, and hopefully everybody has a great week. Hopefully everybody has a great weekend round, and I will see you on the next one.